Nacho, Nacho Man, yeah. I got to be a Nacho Man, got to be a Nacho Man. I got to be a Nacho Man.
Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and we're in Fallout 4 today to finish my tour of my arcade here at Starlight Drive-In. For those of you who are newer to my channel and haven't experienced some of my older Fallout 4 content, I really like to build settlements with a story. I demand that I have a lot of details worked out in background. For example, I can't just put down a bar. I want to put down a bar and know who owns that bar, when did they start that bar, and why did they start that bar there, who are their clients, and what are they like. It's asking and answering these sorts of questions that I think really can add a lot of character to a settlement. And it also frees me up to do some things that I don't see some other YouTubers doing. I see a lot of YouTubers limit themselves to structures that could only be built post-war. And so everything that they build is very scrappy and made out of wood and looks fantastic, and yet I feel that that can sometimes limit imagination, and that is why what we've got here is essentially I am pretending that we have a pre-war structure that has been found and repaired and repurposed in this game. So even though Bethesda didn't necessarily build this pre-war structure, I'm saying that in my own little headcanon, this is a place that was already existing that the characters that live here have found and moved into. Similar example would be, for example, Bunker Hill. That is a repurposed pre-war structure that is now a settlement around it. So we're going to see a pre-war structure here, and we're also going to see a few little post-war structures as well. So with all of that preamble out of the way and all of my excuse for why this building is going to look like something that couldn't be built post-war, it's because it can't be. In my head, this is a pre-war structure that's been repurposed. So again, with all the preamble out of the way, let's take a look at what we've got going on here at Starlight Drive-In. The story in my head, at least, is that in my game, it is now about 3 years after the Institute was defeated. And so Piper and I have come to visit our good friends Stuges and Curie. Sturgis and Curie met each other in Sanctuary, and after the fall of the Institute, a lot of the original Minutemen that were around Sanctuary have moved on and spread out across the rest of the Commonwealth. And Sturgis and Curie fell in love, got married, and have since moved down here to Starlight Drive-In. They also have adopted a little boy named Joseph, and we'll see if we can spot him running around. They've got a sign out here letting people know the services that they have available. Sturgis is, of course, a competent mechanic, and Curie is a passable doctor. After all, she spent 200 years researching the human body and disease inside of the vault. Sturgis is still, of course, very much a Minuteman and proud. So we're going to concentrate, for the most part, on the projector building itself along with the arcade. As a side note here, I really like the effect that this spotlight has on the back of the sign. It really does give it kind of a striking appearance as you approach the building. The left side here is, for the most part, the same as it ever was. Curie, when she is not acting as a doctor, has also set up a small bar and serves the caravanners and other people that come through here to trade and also to play at the arcade. She's a cook, but she's not a very good one. There's an awful lot of fire coming out of that grill, and if we look at it at least from maybe the right angle, hopefully you can see there is a lot of smoke coming off of it as well. She pretty much burns everything she attempts to cook, but maybe that's okay. Hygiene in the wasteland being what it is, perhaps it's better to have food that is overdone than underdone. Sturgis has come through here and done a lot to try and get her set up with a working stove and refrigerator, and also she's got quite a bit of food stashed among these shelves. I would have liked to have actually completely filled everything in here and maybe put some place settings down at all the different spots around the diner, but you can tell there's a lot of chug going on at this settlement already, and it was just getting to be too much. I had to just stop decorating. When we look at the outside over here, haven't done very much with this end of the building except put some awnings over the seats outside, as well as some outdoor seating for people who might like to come over here and grab something to eat. But the left side of the projected building is certainly going to look very different from what we're used to. I did the best that I could to use some diner pieces that I got out of the master plan mod and tried to blend them in as best I could to make this look like something that was always here in the game, that Sturgis and Curie have come back and repaired this building and turned it into something that is working again, although there's still a few spots where they have not been able to find glass, for example, and they've just had to board up a few of the windows. Heading inside, we'll just go ahead and take a look to the right over here. This is a trading post that I have repurposed as a prize counter. There's a lot of little trinkets in here that kids can win tickets and come over here and give those tickets to Sturgis and get some prizes. Of course, not many people, in fact, nobody wins enough tickets to win the big prizes like the Grognak costume and comics or the great big teddy bear that's back there. Nevertheless, Sturgis is fairly generous with his prizes. He is kind of a softy at heart. You can see Dance Dance Rebellion clicking away back there at the attract mode, and we've got a pool table downstairs as well as one of the arcade games from the Nuka World DLC over here, the Whack-A-Commie game. I thought it would be fun to decorate this room and this building with movie posters, so I've got a bunch of posters out of a mod called Sci-Fi Posters that I've used to decorate the arcade here. I felt it was appropriate that a movie theater arcade would in fact be decorated with movie posters. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid growing up, there was always an arcade attached to the movie theaters, and so that's kind of where this came from as far as deciding where to build an arcade. It's like, well, we're going to build it at the theater. Got some race car games over here. They're set up to where you could have pre-war done a four-person race, but unfortunately this last one is broken, and Sturgis is still working on getting that one put back together. I was just thinking about some of the sit-down arcade cabinets from when I was a kid. Upstairs, we can take a look down here. Got a nice little mezzanine up here for some extra arcade games. got a model train over here and a model boat just to fill a little bit of space. Thought it would be fun to take what this is, the train asset, the big train asset that you're able to get from USO, and I just scaled it down to essentially what I would guess would be about an O scale if you're into model railroading. Got ourselves another game from Nuka World up here. I will go ahead and activate this, just maybe get the right soundtrack going for the rest of our tour here. I don't tend to use Creation Club content. In fact, I don't use it as a rule. I feel like the Creation Club content is too much money for not enough value. So I don't have the Creation Club arcade machines here. So I've done my best to try and glitch together some other types of arcade games. For example, this is a shuffleboard game, and I did this one and those racing games downstairs at another settlement. I liked how they turned out, so I brought them in here, although I'm not 100% satisfied with my shuffleboard game here. Certainly would be interested to hear some thoughts from you guys and some comments, or maybe even a response video showing me a better way to build shuffleboard. Hoop shots out of Nuka World DLC, and I had to scale that down just a hair to get it to fit in here. These arcade cabinets and pinball machines are still broken. Sturgis hasn't got around to fixing those just yet. Those are available from the USO mod. Got ourselves a nice vending machine area over here, as well as a couch where people can wait to play the next game and maybe have a cigarette. May be hard for younger viewers to believe, but when I was a kid growing up, arcades tended to be very smoke-filled areas because you were allowed to smoke in them. Over here we have a spot for kids pre-war to have a LAN party and play some head-to-head terminal games. Of course, maybe my younger viewers may not remember or know what LAN parties are, but they sure were a lot of fun when I was growing up. Got ourselves a little real-time strategy game here, and this game is something that I put together. I was very much thinking of the old radar scope game when I was looking at this, and this is a twin stick shooter. Use the power connectors from the Voltec DLC to make some fairly nice looking joysticks there. This last one is a 4-player beat 'em up in the nature of maybe Gauntlet or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all those classic 4-player games that were just so much fun to play with my friends growing up. Bonus points if you can figure out what I made the joysticks and buttons from. So that is the arcade, and we have at least glimpsed the rest of the settlement, but I've been talking for a while, so I think I will save that for another episode. Fairly pleased with how the arcade itself turned out. I think it makes a suitable home for Dance Dance Rebellion and gives me a fairly lore-friendly way to explain why I have this gigantic game contraption built up here, and I hope that you will agree. I also hope that you liked the video and that you will push the like button down below. Of course, if you did not like, please tell me why in the comments so that I can try and do a better job for you next time. We do still have a little bit more of this settlement to show off, so if you're interested in that and you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. And until then, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.